episode of Porch Talk. This is episode 22. We have with us tonight a senior from Hurley High School, Landon Bailey. Landon Bailey is a 1,000-yard rusher in football, and he has now scored 1,000 points in basketball as of last week. We're happy to have you on, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Yeah, we're doing good. What you more? Doing good tonight?
I've been better after that game last night, but I'm surviving.
Oh, yeah, he's a UNC fan, Landon, so he's still suffering from that upset.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Mar.
No, we don't need to talk about that. Let's go.
Well, we'll kind of start in your childhood and stuff, man. Just kind of how you first fell in love with the sport. And I'm probably going to ask you a few football questions too, because I know you're a senior and we won't get the opportunity to cover your next high school football season. I kind of hate that we didn't get a chance to this past one. So I guess really, if you want to, just how you fell in love with football and basketball, just playing sports in general.
I fell in love with basketball because my grandparents have been really supportive of me, and they got me into sports. Really, I didn't start playing football till I was in third or fourth grade because they were like really worried about me getting hurt. So they got me a basketball goal when I was first or second grade, and I had an older brother that I was really competitive with, and we used to always go to my grandparents and play every single day for hours at a time, and it just grew on me. I just fell in love with it. Then all my friends at school when we were little, they always played football, and I wasn't allowed to yet. But then just being around them all the time and finally getting to play is just everything's just grown on me, and I've just fell in love with it all.
It worked out pretty good, man. You're a playmaker for sure. I got to watch you a few times in football, and you're one of those guys. Anytime you have the ball in your hands, you can score on any play. It was fun to watch.
Appreciate that.
So, when you played Little League, did you play just like the local teams, or did you do any travel ball?
I didn't really start doing travel ball till maybe middle school, and that was just in basketball. I didn't really do much in football as far as travel and all that stuff, but it was just local teams like Honeacre, Twin Valley, Grundy when I was little.
You can go ahead and name basketball and football, but as a kid, who was like some of your favorite players growing up?
I always wanted to be a running back, but when I got into high school, I didn't really weigh enough to be a running back. But it's probably Marshawn Lynch, and I'm a huge Dallas fan, so probably like Zeke and all them guys. And basketball, I'd probably have to say just the older people that played for Hurley. I really looked up to them when I was little, but not really much so of NBA and college players.
Well, we got to get you off here now because since you're a Dallas fan, we can't really.
When you was younger, who was playing at varsity at that time? Was that during the state run with them?
I didn't really get to see much of them. More so, what I watched was like Tate and then Brady and Zach and all of them.
Yeah. Well, they had a good team too, and especially in football.
Yeah. I got to watch Tyler and Austin Cooper just maybe a handful of times, but I don't remember much.
Both of those teams are super talented in their own respective sports. It seemed like in football, Tate and them took off. That football team, it was.
They were crazy.
Yeah. Going up into varsity, I know there's a big jump from Little League and JV. So just some differences and stuff that you noticed right away.
It was definitely the speed and the physicality. Because, to be good on varsity, you have to get your body the way it should be and just getting better all around. Because you can't bring the Little League stuff up to the next level. It won't work.
The physicality part was, you're not, you're more, you talking about putting weight and stuff. Was that the thing you kind of thought about, like trying to add weight, or because you're not very big, you can tell you work out and stuff, but you're more of a lean, fast type player. But did you ever really think about maybe just trying to like bulk up, or just kind of one of those things where you just took what come natural? And
during the summer, I would usually try to bulk up. I'd add 5, 10 pounds. That's about how it's been every single year from freshman to senior year, just 5, 10 pounds. But I really worked on my speed and just actually getting better at the game of football or basketball.
We've talked several times on here about how special the Cliff is. For anybody that's listening that hasn't been to the Cliff and played, I mean, it's pretty unique. So I know you played in Little League at the Cliff, but there's something different about playing on Friday nights.
The Cliff's great, dude. It's definitely the best. I mean, I'm a little biased just because it's where I grew up at, but I think it's the best football field I've ever played at, and it's electric on Friday nights, especially when playing a rival team or it's homecoming. It's crazy.
No, it's definitely just the visual aspect alone is a visiting team coming over, especially the first time you get to see it. It's you're kind of paying attention more to that than what's going on. It's definitely that part, and just that the way the sound bounces off of it, and it keeps everything in there. It is a great place to play, especially you get a big crowd in there and a big game. The atmosphere, it's a great place.
You already mentioned the crowd and the atmosphere there. Just to give you an opportunity to talk about the community. It's electric every time you go out there, but just give you an opportunity to talk about the community and how they rallied around you and the guys you play with.
We have a really small community over here. As schools don't have a lot of kids in it, so I think we all know each other. We're all friends, and the kids that don't play sports, they're always there supporting you on Friday nights or whatever events going on. So everyone really just supports each other here, and it's awesome.
Going into your senior year, I mean, you had a lot of success in football. We'll hop on the basketball and stuff now because that's what's going on. Prepping for your senior year, what all did you do during the off season?
I worked out a lot in the weight room and a lot in the gym. I spent hours in there. Most times I would live, then play ball for 3, 4 hours every single day, as much as I could. And I talked to my coaches a lot, what they expected, and we worked on plays during the whole off season, just trying to get ready.
So you already mentioned your coach and stuff. So I want you to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about your head coach and the assistant coaches. What do you think about them?
I love Mark, the head coach. He's an awesome dude. We're really close off the court, and I think he's a tremendous coach. And my assistant coach, he's really helped me a lot, just getting better over the years. I mean, a lot of the times he'd let me in the gym, stay after hours with me, and just we always talked. We're super close too. They're great people.
Growing up, obviously over here, but we're not as familiar. But even when I was young, I hear about all these the older teams and stuff. My dad talks about it, and then getting up old enough to follow along and just continue throughout. After I graduated, but there's a lot of very rich tradition, basketball and football, good players over at Hurley. Let's talk about that, about what that tradition's like, and trying to carry stuff like that on, and what that means to you.
Yeah, like you said, they've been a lot of great athletes over here, and ever since I joined the 1,000 Club in two sports, I've had a lot of them message me and congratulate me on that, and it's just great to be a part of them. And I'm sure there'll be some more great athletes that come through Hurley while it's still here and onto the new school.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people, even in the district, that has eclipsed that in both sports. So that's something to be proud of. I want to give you an opportunity to also talk about your teammates. If you want to give anybody a shout out.
Black Diamond District is kind of coming to an end here soon. Is it weird? Just weird. I'm not asking anybody this. I don't know if we've had anybody to ask, but is it weird not having like a Honeacre in the district and how it's changed so much? What's that been like? Just kind of seeing how it's over the years it's kind of lost teams and knowing it's not going to be around very much longer.
It's kind of sad to think about because last year Council didn't have a team. We didn't play them and played Honeacre, but Council has a team this year and Honeacre moved region, so it's weird. It's weird growing up and playing Honeacre every single year, then them not being there my senior year. It's kind of weird to think about.
No, I was just going to say that, it was. I remember when Hayside and Clint, and then consolidated. It was so odd not having, not having Hayside in any kind of schedule, and it's just real strange. And then now not having Homeacre in the district. So you look back over the years and all these teams, and now it's just kind of, I don't know. Like he said, it's really weird. It's kind of sad, but yeah, I was wondering from a current player's perspective, what that would be like. So, I mean, it's you kind of grow up getting used to playing in that and some rivalries and stuff like that, and competitive nature kicks in. You hate to not play them, but it is what it is. So I was just, I was curious what he thought about it.
Yeah, you see the same kids on the teams growing up, playing with each other, playing against each other for all them years, and just suddenly they're not in the region anymore. You don't really get to play them.
You mentioned like rivals and stuff like that more, and I kind of wanted to ask you. Uh, I think we talked to maybe Gunner here a few weeks ago about it, uh, but also I wanted to ask you because I know that with the districts and stuff changing up so much, uh, any like certain rival games that you all get up for, or is everybody just kind of get along now?
No, definitely not. Definitely still Grundy and Hurley,
Yeah,
as always.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that one's always going to be there.
yeah.
Yeah. Just talking about going forward, because I know y'all just had a good win last night, avenged the loss against Twin Valley. I think you had 22 points in that one. So just talking a little bit on what you still have left in the season, expectations going forward.
Well, we're still trying to win the district. We got Grundy tomorrow. Then whenever district starts, we're gonna have to beat Twin Valley. Then hopefully just beat Grundy in the district. That's the goal that we aim for through the summer, going to all the camps and stuff. That's the one goal that we aim for.
Yeah.
Grundy tomorrow night.
Yep,
Where's that game?
at Grundy.
Be a good one to. I might try to get down there for that one. Um, the district tournament comes around. Anything can happen. You never know when district tournament time. Going into tournaments like that, which things work out. Y'all should obviously make the region, but heading into tournament time, that's the thing. The game could be your last. Just knowing that being a senior, it's got to add an extra element to it. But have you thought about that yet, and how that's gonna, what that's gonna be like when it finally hits?
Yeah, I thought about that a lot after football ended because when football ended, it was really hard on me, really hard. And I'm more of a basketball person. I've played basketball longer, so I love it a little bit more. And I think it's going to be a lot harder for me and my family whenever the season ends.
Into college, are you planning on playing either basketball or football, or do you have anybody recruiting you or anything?
I've talked to a few coaches. I don't have any official offers yet, but I've talked to 3 or 4 coaches, and I went on a few visits. But that's the plan, though, is to play basketball or football. It doesn't really matter to me in college.
I don't know if Cameron can go back if I'm going too far forward, but do you have any pregame rituals?
Uh, no, not really. I listen to music. That's about it, though.
That was
I
going
don't
to be
really
my
have any.
that was going to be my next question. Is what do you listen to before games?
I'm a big, really big old rap. I like Tupac, Biggie, Snoop,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
It's my kind of person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all great choices. Well, it seems like almost every week we have more of people listen to country music before the ball games. So I think we're starting to come around to some typical pregame jams.
We've
Yeah,
had a really wide variety of music pregame
yeah,
on this.
Well, it's kind of back during football. I didn't really listen to a lot of old rap then. It was a lot of rock. I like hardcore rock.
yeah,
That was more of a football thing for me.
yeah. I think that's a great choice. I think for most of the games that I played in, I had a lot of rock and stuff in it that I listened to, and some of it's probably heavier stuff than what I would normally listen to. But
Yeah,
get yourself in that
for sure.
mindset. Yeah. Something we like to ask everybody, and I don't know if Jamar has any more questions after this. This is usually what we end with. But just motivation wise, something you carry with you when you're in the field, when you're out on the court, something you play for.
I think I've always played with a chip on my shoulder, whether that be football or basketball or just pickup runs. I'm a really competitive person, and I like to do as best I can at whatever I'm doing because I hold myself to a high standard, and that's just something I always will do. And all my family and friends always been at all of my games, and that really pushes me. It's just a lot of motivation to make them proud and make myself proud.
I was going to say, man, good luck. The rest of the season. Not much left. It's winding up quick. But yeah, good luck. I wish you all all the best and success in whatever you end up doing. And we really appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. Man, you can tell he's a competitor. Like when he talks and stuff, you can tell he has a competitive drive. And man,
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry,
go ahead.
No, he's
I was
going
to say in either sport he's tough.
Yeah, he plays hard. I've not got to watch him play basketball yet, but football you just tell he's runs hard. It's smart player, but you can kind of tell he's got that, which I think a lot of people have it, but they almost hate to lose more than enjoying winning. People
100%.
have which is there's not I don't think there's a right and wrong. If you whether you enjoy the actual feeling of winning more than losing, but I think there's something to that, which is kind of how I've always been. I absolutely hate losing, like more than like the 3 or whatever of victory, but just that feeling of losing, like, that's what I hate it more than I do the other thing. But I mean, you can just kind of tell those real competitive, ultra competitive people probably more like that, and sometimes if you're like me, it kind of is almost a bad thing because I carry it in like a card game, Monopoly game. You don't really get rid of it, and it can be a bad thing. But
it's like the MJ mentality.
Yeah, it kind of helps out when you're playing competitively, but when you're just playing to be playing, it can bring some issues.
Yeah, and I didn't get to tell him. I didn't want to cut him off there when he was saying Bob. I didn't get to tell him before he left. But I do wish him good luck as well. And it is quite an accomplishment to hit 1,000 in football and in basketball like that. And that's something to be proud of. And Hurley has a lot of talent over there over the years. We mentioned it with those old basketball teams. Well, I say old, but when I was in high school, it was the Cooper brothers and Waynick and Wes Peck, and all of them were ultra talented. I can remember sitting in the auditorium when they were playing their Final Four game, and we were all listening to it in the auditorium during class. So that was special, and we know Tate, we hung out with Tate plenty, and I know Brady and Zach and all of them. So the football team, they were great too. So you just throw his name up there with a lot of those legends from Hurley, and that's like I said, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, Hurley's they've always had back in when I was in there, district wise, they might have finished back in the back of the district, but the district was ridiculously competitive then, and I mean, I've played against some Hurley teams when I was in high school that maybe finished, fifth or fourth or something in the district, would probably win the district in the last few couple of couple of years or something, especially here lately. But like they've always had some good players. Even back in the '90s is where I've heard about several of them. My uncle played against a few, and they've just had really good. I can't remember their names. I wish I could remember some of those guys' names. Throw them out there, but yeah, you just and then obviously football, they've always been really tough, but yeah, that's that tradition over there, man. That's a very tight knit community over there, and they show up, and like we were talking about Twin Springs and Mark, it's they always travel well to games, and get everybody shows up for their home game. That's a tough place to play, especially in football. That atmosphere, but yeah, people can say whatever they want about I mean, it's nothing that everybody knows. People, especially people from out of here, like Hurley has kind of a bad rap, but I've never, it's just, it is what it is. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about anybody over there. So, but I mean, it's just, I think they get a bad rap a lot of times, but
Yeah, they do, but I mean, I agree with you. It's not. I don't think it's warranted. They're passionate about their sports. Uh, I know a lot of people from over there. I have family from over there. My mom lived over there, so it's one of those things where I think when you're on the outside, and they do it not just with Hurley, it's other schools do it with other districts and stuff like that. I mean, rivals and stuff. Everybody paints other schools and communities in a bad image until you've been in there and you meet those people and you talk to them. It's a lot different. So yeah, I do nothing on this podcast but brag about them, that community, and I mean their sports because I think uh, it's something I'm going to miss when they do the consolidation. The cliff and even those basketball games in that gym. So I mean, there's a lot of positives over there and a lot of great people in that community that deserves to be recognized, opposed to outsiders trying to judge them when they don't know them.
Yeah. Twin Valley won their first district championship in that gym, in not the small gym, but the big one, I guess, at the middle school or the elementary, whatever it
Yeah,
is. That was
that's
the
fourth.
did you know on Twin Valley's Facebook page
Yeah,
this week. That was the district tournament was at Hurley that year, my sophomore year, and the boys and girls both were not expected to win the tournament and pulled off a couple of upsets against some
yeah. I
teams.
think I've been trying to reshare those pretty
Yeah,
quick
we
when they
were
come
we were
on.
actually. I know it's not about what we were talking about, but Twin Valley we were fourth in the district that year. I think we tied for third. I'm pretty sure with I want to say it was Honecker that no, I can't remember. Which I know we tied for third, maybe, or maybe we finished fourth, but it was either we tied for third and lost a coin toss, so we were fourth, or maybe we were fourth outright this regular season, but had to play council that year in the first round, and that actually upset them and then beat Hayside to go to region. But then the girls, I can't remember who they played. I think they were a higher seed though than we were. They were a 2 or a 3, but I can't remember who they ended up beating and upset. I think maybe Hayside. I can't remember. But that was a fun bus. I think we all decided to ride the bus to like Pizza Hut or something after that game with both the boys and girls teams, and it was a fun bus ride, man. Just that first district championship for both of them. It was a pretty cool night.
I can't imagine. Um, well, before we get into our next guest, I do want to shout out our sponsors real quick. And I do want to mention that uh, I think we have maybe two, that we might possibly be getting here soon, working out details on. But anybody else listening to this podcast that might know a business or anything that wants to sponsor us, just give us a shout out on Facebook or any of our socials. Uh, the Wyatt pole holders. If you have fishing poles you'd like to display safely on the wall or just need a way to get them off the floor, Wyatt pole holders has what you need. Sold on Etsy. He has a nice selection of fishing racks to fit your needs. Pine, oak, and poplar is just some of the wood used to craft these beautiful racks. Engravings are also available upon request.
Cantrell Holdings Equipment Rentals has excavators, backhoes, loaders, and jackhammers. If you need to rent something to work around the house, any kind of job, big or small that you have, they have the equipment available. You can also follow their Facebook page, find out more about their operator services, and that's 276-596-3078 is the phone number. And Logan's got a birthday coming up, so if you get up with him, tell Logan Porch Talk sent you, and happy birthday to him.
After this guest, we'll go over the week so far in high school basketball. before we get off here. We've got quite a bit of news coming through this week. A lot of local players having some special games this week, some record-breaking performances, some district titles clinched, in I think girls and boys. So we'll be able to go over those after we get done with him. And y'all got Duke this week too, don't you?
Yeah, it's Duke week.
Yeah.
I'm
excited about it. Is that the word?
I mean, I don't know if excited, but it is what it is. It's hate week, so trying to talk to anybody that's a Duke fan this week, but hopefully it's not one getting on right now.
You ain't got to worry about me being a Duke fan.
Okay. There you go. Oh. So were you UNC fan?
Oh yeah.
I thought you were, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I was telling Cameron it's Duke week, and I technically don't want to talk to anybody that's a Duke fan this week, but I work with two, and one of them is my dad, so I'm kind of stuck. Having to have those conversations, but
yeah. I've been a UNC fan for since I was little, but it was the year before Tyler Hansborough and Danny Green and Ty Lawson and that group won the national title. So it was the previous year that I started to really keep up with it and know what was going on.
Yeah,
that's a historical team.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, potentially one of the greatest college teams ever.
Let's not. This is like a minority take, but as a UNC fan, the 2005 or 6, whatever it would be, that's my team. I think they beat the Hansborough team myself.
Well, yeah, because they never went to class. They're just playing basketball all the time.
You think Hansborough didn't went to class? No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't even know where Hansborough is now. He played at Indiana there for a few years.
He's doing commentating for the ACC network, I think, or maybe actually he might actually be at Carolina now. Took what's his name? Rest in peace. That passed away for them. That did their radio or their in-game big guy. It's a shame I can't remember the name. Montrose, is that?
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah,
Eric
I think he was sitting in his seat there. They doing the game. I don't know if that was just a one-time thing, but he was working for the ACC network for a while.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess Danny Green probably had the best NBA career off of that team.
Oh yeah,
by a pretty large margin.
Yeah, I would say so. I can't think of anybody else that.
Which is crazy that you can take potentially the greatest ACC player ever and put him in the NBA, and he's, not worth.
You're right. It's a prime example of how college game doesn't really transfer to the NBA. It's a prime example.
Yeah. JJ Redick had a great career, but not as great as he was at Duke.
Right.
Yeah. It's a different ball game.
So we got a head coach from Twin Valley High School, Cole Payne, on with us tonight. We're happy to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When we first started doing this, started getting into basketball season, we talked about having you almost every single week. It just ended up. We tried to last week, and I think everybody in Southwest Virginia was playing Friday night, and so
we're making up for that week and a half of snow we got.
Oh yeah,
had to get games in. So.
That was awful. Well, we wanted first to congratulate you on getting the job, and I guess we can actually start right there. I just wanted to ask you how that whole process worked out, and I guess for you too, how it feels coaching at the spot that you played at.
Well, as everybody knows, which we're sitting here with a prime example of what Twin Valley basketball has meant. It transcends Twin Valley and returns to the Garden and Whitewood days, So, but it's always meant a lot to be. It always meant something to be a coach at Twin Valley in basketball, And so, I mean, it meant the world to me to get to come back and do it. Just to get the opportunity, I was really grateful. Of course, last season they didn't have a great season, obviously, and just trying to implement some of the mentality that has been there in the past. You know, I got to play for Baldwin for 3 years. I played for Moore for 2. That was, that's a lot to learn just from those two in general, and then being around Goodman for 5 years, 4 years there. It's just a wealth of knowledge to pull from, and just trying to take things that I learned from them and apply it now. But very grateful for the opportunity, no doubt.
I had a couple questions there. I'll just start with this one, but I'll probably bounce back and forth a few times. But
Okay.
One thing you were talking about there early on with the like the culture or whatever, but having played there, and just growing up there, um, was there any kind of I mean, I know obviously they had a not a good season last year, so it probably helped. But was there any kind of real pressure you felt coming in, or?
Well, no, I joked about it starting at the first of the season. I said if we win 3 games, I want to look like Coach K out here. Just coming off of last season. But now there was pressure that was self-induced because of how competitive I am. That every game to me is a winnable game, even though it may not be, right? I mean, we're playing, Grundy is a state contender right now, and we played some really talented teams, but it's so hard to turn that off to be like, okay, well, well, maybe this is what justifies a win, and this is, we'll accept this when the final scoreboard you're down. It's heartbreaking. It doesn't matter who it is. So getting over that and trying to apply what constitutes a win has been the biggest issue on my end. It's pressure wise.
Well, I think it's great though to have somebody competitive in there because I know it's going to drive you and drive the team. Jay Martin mentioned culture and stuff, and I know that his team with Moore and even you mentioned Baldwin, they all have their little things they do to instill culture. So for you going into this year, given how last year went, what are some of the things you were doing now and did before the season to create culture there?
The biggest thing is trying to get rid of I don't want to say a loser's mentality because they're not losers, but a losing mentality is extremely hard to break. I mean, when you're convinced that you cannot win a basketball game, it is hard because and the issues we've run into is, okay, well, we're down 12 in the third quarter. Well, we're out of it. Well, no, we're really not. I mean, it's still a ball game. Even being down 18 or 20 in the third is still doable. So, I mean, practice, I try to make practice as extremely competitive as possible. I've tried to put them into, I mean, we're nonstop work and practice. I've tried to put them into situational basketball. A lot of it is they haven't been in opportunities to win basketball games. And so when we do get those opportunities, when you're down 7 with a minute and a half, there's a certain way you play it. But when you're up 4 with 35 seconds left, there's a way to play it. So we do a lot of stuff that resonates around basketball IQ and just trying to learn to win. It's not about me scoring or you scoring or whoever. Right, it's just about trying to win basketball games.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything at all away from anybody that's a good coach, but you also have to have it helps to have good players, and most of the time those good players don't develop all of a sudden and become good when they're in high school. They've worked at it for numerous amounts of years, and I'm not saying anything negative whatsoever about anybody that plays there now. But you can obviously tell a talent drop off for whatever reason. I don't, we're not getting into why, but that's a kind of, I feel like that's almost a tougher coaching job for someone that has to come in and maybe maybe teach things that you shouldn't have to be going over and teaching in high school, what's that been like? Is it kind of starting like you try to figure out where you need to start almost, or?
Well, it is, and the issue, and of course, Stephen Mullins is my assistant, and so we've had these conversations several times that even our language of word choice, we have to be careful on. When I say, go seal the post, well, what does that mean? And I'm like having to think like, okay, these kids have not been exposed to that kind of basketball. They've not played summer ball, which is not their fault.
Right.
They never played any sort of BBF or AAU, style basketball. So they've just played in season little league and stuff. And the issue is figuring out how to coach them in a manner that they understand at the level that's even different than the level I understood at that. It's different. And then just it's hard, but I think it pays off in the long run. We're going back to fundamental basketball, even as with 10th, 11th, and well, we don't have any 12th graders, but 10th and 11th graders, to go back to, we do dribbling drills, passing drills, defensive drills all the time, but I'm hoping that the opportunity presents itself to get into some summer basketball, and then that way next season maybe we don't have to spend the in-season time working on fundamentals. That can be summer stuff, and then when in-season comes around, then we can put in strategies or defenses or offense, so on.
Yeah, offense and defense. How much have you pulled from your playing days when it comes to maybe your defensive strategy? I know that when we were in high school, 2-3 was a big thing. And I know that I think more. I know you all played man a little more. I think, right?
We played a lot of man. Yeah, but we also would zone up, which I've heard. Like kind of like Mark Dockery said, when he had 6'9", we had 6'7" in the middle. You could play a zone a lot different than most teams. So we kind of still played a man as more like a matchup zone, and just we knew we had him, big guy behind us. It helped a lot. But we played a lot of man also. It kind of just depended on the matchup.
Yeah, and we played strictly 2-3 under Baldwin. Of course, we had Steven in the middle at 6'7", so it wasn't a problem for me to go get the corner guy as a forward because I knew if he blew by me, I was still safe. But I've definitely pulled a lot because all of my basketball knowledge has come from those. But the players that we have now, in comparison to the players that were, as far as athleticism and speed and stuff, is very different. We basically play with 3 guards, where when I was in high school playing, we had 2 guards and 3 bigs. So that's different. The athleticism, Lucas Dotson is a freak of an athlete as a 6'3" power forward. He really is. So the flexibility that he gives us on defensively. So we actually play a lot of junk style defense, a lot of 1-3-1, 3-2, triangle 2, box 1, so on, to try to counteract maybe that sitting in a zone, because the floor has become so expanded now with people shooting. People are pulling it from the volleyball line like it's nothing. With Jamar's day, you knock down a 3, here and there, but it wasn't like you're pulling it from half court like kids are now. It's like Steph Curry, and so sitting in a 2-3 zone can get dangerous, when kids are shooting as good as they are now.
Yeah, just when we played, just because you could make that shot, you shouldn't take. You shouldn't take it.
Yeah,
it just wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't a good shot, high percentage shot. Even though you were capable, you just you weren't looking for that shot.
Yeah, exactly.
But now it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm open, so. And it's not really a bad thing. It's not a wrong way to do it. It's just different.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, it's working for a lot of teams, but it's not working for some who think they're shooters too.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I say. There's a reason a lot of people are open a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Moore actually talked about that at his practice today with the girls. He was like, "Yeah, if you're standing over there in the corner and nobody's guarding you, there might be a reason why."
Yeah. You mentioned Dotson. I want to give you an opportunity, like we had with some of the other coaches, just to give a shout out to some of your players.
Well, they're most importantly a great group of kids. They work hard. I mean, they are given 110% from buzzer to buzzer. Lucas Dotson, again, I've already mentioned him, excellent rebounder. If we could get him to make a half of his layups on putbacks, he would probably average 50.
Yeah.
AJ Presley, great in the middle. Gives us a good post presence, really good touch. Around the rim and stuff. He's got that little Dirk fadeaway that he likes to shoot, which I get onto him sometimes, but most of the time it goes in. Our guards, Caleb Bailey, excellent defender, can tear people all to pieces as far as defensively. Blake Cooper is a dead eye shooter. In practice, he does not miss. In the game, he doesn't miss, but he's not as aggressive shooting it as I want him to be early. But a dead eye shooter, and has developed well as far as a two-way player this year. Coming out of JV, defensively, it wasn't his strong suit. And this year, he might be leading the team in blocks. I don't know, but he's giving us a lot of two-way. And then Mason Deal's a great two-way guard that he causes havoc on defensive end, but penetrates well on offensive end. So they just work so hard. They play hard, and that's all a coach can ask for.
Yeah, you can build off of that. If you have that, that's a lot of teams. That's the problem, is you can't get people to really commit to that playing hard all the time thing. But if you have that already, that's a good building block to start from.
Yeah, it is very much so. Yeah, and I can't talk enough about how hard they work, and that's a great starting point just to maybe develop some. And we've got some good talent coming up off JV too. For the next year or 2 years or ever how long we're open. That's going to make a big difference in the coming years. I think it's back on the rise.
I think that you're already starting to see some improvement this year. Y'all had a pretty big win against Hurley, and I know that was a few weeks ago, but we just had Landon on the podcast, and he's a heck of a player. I just wanted to ask you what that win meant. I know it wasn't your only one of the year, but I think that one was significant.
Oh, it was huge. And speaking of Landon, he dropped 25 on us last night, so I hope he's doing all right with himself. But no, it was a huge win. The boys played as well as they could, and it was an awesome thing to be a part of. I knew what kind of talent Hurley had, and I know Hurley probably didn't have their best game, but if a win was ever earned, that one was earned on our end, and has nothing to do with me either. I didn't do anything that made a difference in that game. That was all on them. But that win was definitely earned.
So speaking of wins, that the first one y'all got this year, because they went winless last year, right?
Yeah, they were 0-19, I think.
So that first one y'all got, it was pretty early in the year, from what I remember. What was that? Is that feeling for them especially, and then you coming in and getting that being your first one? Go ahead.
It was good to get it was good to get the monkey off the back, right off. And it wasn't. I'll never complain about a win, but it was crazy. It was not a win that we needed in a sense. I think we beat them by 20. So here we went from like all these close battles. The previous night, we had played Washburn, Tennessee, and they beat us by 14. But that was, it was 6-point ball game, 3-point ball game, 8-point, and then right there at the end, a few foul shots and stuff. And I told the boys, I was like, that was the best game that you all have that I'd seen them play up to that point. As far as it. I even told them, I was like, that was a win. I said, I know the scoreboard didn't show it, but that was a win. And then we come out the next night and just mopped that team. And it was like, it was a great feeling to get the win, but I told them, or I didn't tell them, I told the coaches. I was like, but we need that 5 point dogfight win, where there's fouls and you got to make those key free throws and hit a clutch shot, which fortunately we did get, with Hurley later on. Yeah.
Consolidation is coming up here soon.
Yeah.
So we had talked about the BDD with P Wade. We talked to Jory as well about the BDD. And I know you're a little bit younger, but still, as the BDD is kind of coming to an end, just memories from the BDD, either watching games growing up or even playing in them.
Well, so and I kind of had it was an unfortunate but fortunate experience at the same time, because when I came through, we were in the conference system. So I was in Conference 47 with we had the BDD teams minus Grundy, because Grundy was still in the 2A, but we had added Holston and Northwood, and one year I think Patrick Henry too somehow fit in. But as far as BDD play, man, when we go play Hurley, yeah, I mean it was a dogfight. I mean, sometimes too much of one, and it was so. I mean, those when I went and played Holston or went and played Northwood, you never got that feeling. Like, you knew you had to win the game, but there was never a situation where it was like this. You wanted that more than life itself almost. And so having those BDD rivalries, man, was great. Going to play in Hayside, oh my God, I hated Hayside. I mean, I hated Honaker. I hated all of them. And just to have that is awesome. But I know that will develop whenever we go to the new conference and whatever happens, or the new district with the consolidation. But you're talking about 100 years worth of history. That from these teams. I know Twin Valley obviously is younger in those, but I mean Garden and Whitewood, and just to hear stories from 1974 about how Hurley beat Garden on a last minute fumble or whatever. I mean, whatever the stories were is So I hate that we're losing that aspect, because I mean I've definitely enjoyed it, but at the same time, as far as the consolidation goes, I mean, it's kind of inevitable. So I hope everybody kind of gets on board and keeps some of this stuff alive.
I don't miss that conference stuff. About the time I got it all figured out about who was who and how it worked, they went back and changed it back to the districts.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, and now they started taking 3 teams to the region instead of.
One question to back up a little bit that I was going to ask was obviously I'm sure once you found out you got the job. Was there any? I'm sure you had some kind of expectations of what it was going to be like, or how you were going to go about things. It just from the day-to-day details to, large details. What kind of has any of it been different from what you kind of expected to be, and what is different?
Yeah. Well, the expectation, I think, being maybe young, and I don't want to say ignorant or naive, but I almost felt like I was going to come in and rule with an iron fist. And those days are not completely gone, but they're definitely on their way out, on the way you have to approach kids and the way you have to talk to them. So that was probably the biggest thing where I was like, okay, I can't really scream and yell all the time, right? There's a time and place, but just learning for more on being structured, making practice mean something. Every 4 minutes there's no wasted motion. Hopefully, is the idea. In practice and stuff, and getting those players on board with that. I don't know what their past practices were like or whatever, but to get them on board with that kind of mentality, in practice was initially a tough gig. But I mean, there's obviously certain things that you've had to adjust on the fly, but to sit and think like, okay, I can't pinpoint a certain situation or moment that I had to.
Yeah, you had mentioned your team's pretty young right now, so just things, I guess, for the rest of the season, and I mean, I guess you can even look at it as even in the summer as well, but just things going forward to expectations, stuff you look forward to.
Yeah, so the expectation, like I said, they work hard. So it's the getting that out of them is not a complicated thing. The biggest thing that I would hope to see is a little more uh, understanding of the importance of the 9 months that you're off season. That's when you get better. That's when you start working on things or whatever that you need to do that's better as a player. Again, that they've just not had exposure to in their varsity career or JV career or even maybe younger. So that expectation, a lot more open gyms, workouts, and stuff like that's going to be the biggest change. And I wanted to do it this summer too, but I didn't get the job until it was July, I think, before I knew that I was the basketball coach. And by that point, you've kind of already missed the boat on summer camps and stuff like that.
Yeah. We had Mark, Dockery on. I don't know if you've seen it, but he had the that quote he had about telling his players if there's like practice, open gym, lifting, whatever that they kind of do as team wise. That's the bare minimum, and you could be a good player by doing that, but that's the bare minimum that you're gonna have to. You know what I mean? Like, so I think a lot of this. Kids have to decide if they want to be just a pretty good player, play during the season, do what just that little bit that is required, or there's a whole lot more involved if you actually want to do want to be like a great player.
Absolutely,
I don't know a lot of them understand the actual amount of time you have to put in to be that good. So like you said, I mean, you have to. Summer, it's almost you can't make people do things. That's the biggest thing I've seen is like a lot of people think, oh well, they can't, make them do this, make them do that. The great players, you don't have to make them do anything. So
no, it's it. Yeah.
So hopefully they'll take that into the summer and want to be better and want to be better players. But I think you're off to a good start so far. I really do. I know there's no moral victories, I guess technically, but there almost has to be with a situation like yours. You know what I mean? You have to take find the victories in certain games where there's instant loss. But this week we did better than we did last week.
Yes, that's it. And the biggest victory, and the players don't know this. I guess they'll find out if they watch the podcast. But is when you have referees who you had at the first of the season, who you're having now, and they tell you, wow, this team's, night and day different from what they were when we had them the first week of the season or whatever. That's probably the biggest one because the refs aren't there. They ain't going to come blow smoke just for the sake of doing it, So to get that from them is really a high praise, or you go play P. Wade, play him first game of the season at Castlewood and then play him at home. And he's like, man, you're doing some good stuff here. That's everything you could hope to hear, in the rebuilding seasons anyways.
Do y'all have any more games this week and next week? Is the last regular season week, I guess?
Next weekend's the regular season. We've got Council twice. We play them Friday, this Friday and next Friday. We're hosting Cornerstone Christian Academy tomorrow, and we go to East Ridge on Wednesday. Those are both going to be tough basketball games. Those are both really good basketball teams. Then we play Council Friday, and then that ends it. We start the district tournament on February the 12th.
When are you at home against Council?
Friday the 9th.
The 9th?
February the 9th, yep.
I got to get over. I haven't been to one yet. I've been trying to pick and choose and work between work and other things, but I got to get over to a game. If I don't go to one this year, it might be the first time I've not been to at least one game, so I got to make sure I get over there. So.
Well, there you go. That'll be our last home game, so don't break the streak.
We'll do it.
Yep.
All right.
Well, man, we appreciate having you on, and man, good luck tomorrow. Good luck going forward. We can tell you're doing a lot of great things, and we're proud of you, and we're always here supporting you.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me on. It was great, and I'd love to come back on some other time and talk about some more stuff.
Sounds good, man. We like he said, we appreciate it, and we'll get you on maybe during one of these after the season things. We could talk a little Carolina basketball maybe before the tournament or something.
That sounds good to me. And we'll have baseball season coming up, and I'm the varsity.
I was going to say that. Are you coaching baseball this year?
Yep. Yeah. I'm the varsity baseball coach too.
Yeah,
so
well, we'll go ahead and
we'll
book
start that
that
as soon as
Yeah,
basketball.
we'll book that one on right there. So,
all right. That sounds great. Well, thanks for having me on. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man.
thanks.
All right, man. I mean, that was two great guests on tonight. Showing the BDD some love over there. I think Cole's doing a great job so far. The situation he kind of got brought into. Nothing. I'm not going to say anything bad about last year, but just didn't have a lot of success. So coming into that, is a big mountain to climb. And I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's no coach that would have come in this year and took that job that would have had a whole lot of wins. So yeah, he sounds like he's hitting the right directions and doing the right things. He's got got the right mindset and no seniors, so got everybody back. So hopefully they can build on it and keep getting some work in this summer and come back next year and really hit the ground running with him having a year under his belt and the players knowing what he was going to want and what to expect is a big thing and helps out with him. He don't have to kind of come in and set everything up already, like in his practice and what he expects. So hopefully they'll stay headed in the right direction.
I think we need to start reviving the BBF pickup ball.
Listen, don't get me started on what on that. It's a whole other topic, but I don't. Yeah, we'll get.
Don't play at council.
I can't play anywhere, but I would love to get a BBF like the teams. I would love to coach a youth team, like get like a travel team and do for I look back and know what that did for me and the people that put a lot of time into it. They helped me out tremendously, and I would love to be able to do that for a group of kids when they're young and teach them starting out the right way and fundamental stuff and help them get those building blocks put in place for when they get somewhere to start working on and try to get them at a young age, because honestly that's what all these good teams that Twin Valley has had over the years, and really any good team around here that you have to have a good feeder program, just like we talk about in football. You have to have a good program when you're young, teach them the right things, and honestly, just going and playing when you're young is not. You can't just play. You have to have coaches coaching these kids when they're young that teach them the fundamental stuff. Teach them, obviously you want to win, but at that age, it has to be more about developing, the skills learning things, good skill development. Teach them stuff like that, and then when they get a little, as they go on, they'll take that stuff with them and work on their own and stuff. And then when they get older, they can kind of decide, hey, do I want to do this on my own now and stuff or not? But I would love to do something like that. But it'll probably never happen.
Yeah, whenever he was talking about them just kind of learning the fundamentals, building on the basketball IQ. That was what I was thinking about. I think that even when I was younger, Logan and Thomas have, I think, talked about it a little bit last week, but just playing pickup ball. And I think playing with some of you guys and like your dad and a lot of the old timers and all of that, I think that builds like that basketball IQ, builds a little bit of those fundamentals growing up as well, probably just as much as playing on an actual organized team. And I think that probably the groups we have now, I'm not sure that those pickup games and stuff like that was as present when they were younger.
Well, you can play as much pickup as you want, but you're not going to get better necessarily by playing pickup. It helps obviously with just playing more games, but if you can, if you're not doing things the right way or you don't know, working on like the drill stuff is what you have to do when you're young. You have to learn how to dribble both hands. You have to learn how to make a something as small as just making a chest pass. There's a right way and a wrong way to make a pass. Dribbling with your eyes up, not looking down. And there's like hundreds of drills you can do, but you have to do those when you're young and start and learn that stuff when you're young. If you really want to be a very good player when you're older, you can start when you're older, but you're behind, the ball a little bit. Obviously, playing pickup ball is a very important thing. Like the more you play, but it's kind of like doing something. If you do something over and over and over again, but you're doing it wrong, it's not really going to help. Not going to help you. So there's a lot when you're that young. The most important thing is learning the fundamentals of the game and stuff like that. That way, like he said, even in vocabulary, even learning what stuff is, little things. But there's nothing like that for anybody at 25 right now, unless they go away from there. But that I know of, I mean, even Little League. I've talked to a couple of people that have coached some Little League teams. Even if they do know what to teach and what kind of drills to do, and they do know the game well enough to actually be able to help young kids, they don't have anywhere to practice or practice time. They're spending they only have 30 minutes to 45 minutes in a gym that they can spend because they don't have any gym to practice in. There's 5 teams of a Little League team trying to have 3 hours of gym time to split up to practice. So I don't know if it's still like that this year, but I know a couple of years ago it was like that because you just couldn't get in the gym anywhere. But it is what it is.
Well, we'll hop into the high school games for this week. We had a few Monday and Tuesday. I'll start with Monday. If you want to just stop me anytime, if you want to point one out. I figure we go through all the boys first, and like I said, we'll hit on Monday and Tuesday. I don't have any scores right now as of for tonight. I'm sure they're out there, but just so we don't have it too cluttered, I'll start there on Monday. So Monday night, Roll Retreat, they beat Patrick Henry, and what was a pretty big win, given how Patrick Henry's played this year. Bryson Smelser, hope I'm saying that right. He had a single game score record, 13 assists on that one, and they won 66-51. And they're 9-9 now on the year, so I thought that was pretty impressive. That's a heck of a win for them, and a heck of a game for Bryson. And that's just one of a few records that were broke Monday night. We'll get into a few more here in a second. And then we also had Eastside beat Castlewood. Eastside had 70 points in that one, beat Castlewood 39. And, I said just in a second, we'll get into some more records, so we're right here. Eastside senior Ben Sutherland had a school record 11 three-pointers in that game, had 34 points.
Need to get him on talk about that.
Yeah, I thought about that. I almost, when I read that, I was like, man, I might be able to get him on there last minute. But I think they played tonight. I'd have to go in there and see who they played. I can't remember.
Oh no,
I'm pretty sure they had a game.
They played last night also, I think. I don't know if they would have.
Yeah, I don't remember. All these teams are trying to get these back-to-back games to, I guess, just try to, catch up. But that previous record was held by Ethan Powers, the 2018-2019 season, which he had 10 threes in that game. They were playing against Chapman, South Carolina, when he broke that. So another big one there Monday night, probably the biggest game Monday night, was Honaker and Y Central. Honaker ended up pulling away with that one, 57-56. And Keaton Keene had 25 points in that game. He's been killing it here recently. And I think that right now he's probably one of the better players in Southwest Virginia. He's kind of making a stamp here on the district, the Hogo. He might be, what do you say? You think he's probably the best player right now, maybe top for the district player?
The district?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not watched anybody else from that district, but I would imagine. He has to be up there in the top, as far as in running for that one.
I know you got Nash out of Chilhowie. I know you got the brothers there, Patrick Henry. They're pretty good. You got Keaton. Off the top of my head, I'm kind of blank, but those are just a few names that are
I'm
some
sure
pretty impressive players.
Probably the front runner, but I don't. Like I said, I've not watched any of them other teams or seen any kind of averages for any of the other players. So I wouldn't even be really to intelligently speak on it. Really, to be honest with you, he's the only one I've watched out of them. So,
well, Aiden Lowe, he had 13 points in that game. Parker Bandy had 11 as well. That were pretty important. You know, they made a pretty good impact in that game to help give them that win. Go ahead.
Just gonna shout out Parker. I seen he got his had some visits, some D1 visits, and I don't know if he got offered or I can't remember what the post said, but I know he got some, had some D1 visits here. So shout out to him. And while we're on Honecker, shout out to the big guy. I can't remember his name now, but
Tyler Cole.
The one with the big smile is what I call him. But I think he signed at UVA Wise. I think
he did. He committed there.
Yeah, so shout out to him.
Yeah, congratulations to him. And you mentioned Bandy in the paper. They had mentioned his recent offer, which is VMI had offered him.
Yeah, VMI. Yeah.
Before we get off the game, Central. This week they were led, or Monday night they were led by Ethan Collins. He had 19 points and 10 rebounds in that game. And Chance Boggs had 14 points for him as well. So
somebody from Central got their 1,000th career point last week. I can't remember. Did we talk about that?
I'm not sure. I don't think we did. I don't know off the top of my head.
Can't remember his name, but I think I seen where he got somebody maybe got their 1,000 or
maybe Emma got her 3,000.
Not yet, but
it's coming.
3,000 or 2,000? You mean?
I don't know. She might end up getting 3,000. She's already about at 2,000, right?
I think she got her 1,000. Was it last season? So.
Yeah, she was at 1,700.
Yeah, I don't know that she'll get it this year. Ago. She could, I guess. I don't know what she'd have to average in game. I'm sure they'll go far in the playoffs, so she could be right at it.
Well, one of the better teams in the area, if not the best team locally, I'm not sure, it'd be a close race, but Gate City, they came away with a win there Monday night. They beat Abingdon 63-54. Gunnar Garrett had 22 points in that game, and as of Monday they were undefeated in Mountain 7. Abingdon, I think we're going to get into them again. They had a good win, I think, against Battle there yesterday too. But for that game, Reese Ketron had 17 points, and Luke Honecker had 11.
Gate City seems they're very well balanced scoring. Seems like they. I'm not going to be able to get to probably watch them until the region, but I'm looking forward to watching them in person. I don't think they're just one or two guys. I think they got several guys who can score. So I think they're going to be a very tough team to beat come region. Yeah,
we need to figure out where the district tournaments are. Are they located at a neutral site? I thought we were talking about that before.
We never figured out whether they're still rotating. I know the Black Diamond it rotates, or it used to rotate. I don't know how districts do it. I'm assuming it still rotates every year, maybe between the schools, but I couldn't tell you. If anybody out there listening knows how each district does it, we'd be shoot us a message and let us know. What I want to know is the region, how they're doing the region now, because I know that it was at Grundy last year because it was the Black Diamond's turn to host it. So I'm assuming they're still changing the regions from district to district. I just don't know what region it will go to this year and where it'll be, but I'd imagine any of those other schools will probably. I don't know how they do that. I don't know if it'll be like a UV Wise or if it'll be like if they'll have it at like one of the actual high schools. That we need to find that out too.
I definitely prefer for them to have it at the high schools. I just think that I like the environment for that.
Yeah, there is something about playing at the Wise though. That's that gym for like a region for like a championship game. It's a bigger, it's a little bit something different.
Yeah.
But I do like the old school, pack them into a gym. That's that's how we did. There's something about that feels more like a high school game.
Yeah, for sure. Continue on there from Monday night. Chilhowie beat Holston 60-24. Isaac Booth, he had 19 points in that game. Ian Sturgill 12, and also 7 steals for him. And Nash had 11. So it was a good win there for them. This next game, our buddy Jory had texted me about. I don't know if he had messaged you too or not. But this is the game that he said, they had been almost there a few times all year against these teams they had scheduled from out of here. And finally, they came away with a win there Monday night. They beat Belfry, Kentucky, 72-65. Landon Johnson had 24 points in that game. And not only that, but Caleb, go ahead.
I guess it speaks to how good teams that Belfry's been playing, I guess, because their record was, unless I looked at the wrong thing, and it was maybe
No,
the
this is
girls
the
I was
right
looking
one.
at, their record's not very good. They only won like I think 5 or 6 games, so that's kind of crazy. I guess they're just the teams they're playing down in Kentucky they're probably playing some pretty tough teams, it's just crazy. One of the better teams around here in 1A, and you're playing a tough game, and then you've got that record. It's just kind of wild comparison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I think that isn't Belfry in a. I mean, I know that state to state it changes anyway, but I know they used to be what like double A, what equivalent to double A over
Yeah, I'm not
there.
sure. I'm not sure
Bigger
what they
school.
are. I'm not sure what Belfry is. Probably they're probably. I don't think they're single A. They probably are. I have no idea about how Kentucky's numbers go, but I'd say they're a little bit
Yeah,
bigger than a single A. Yeah.
yeah. Nevertheless, I think it's a pretty good win. They also had Caleb Conaway had 18 points in that game, 7 rebounds. Jonah Looney, who we've had on here before, 14 points and 7 rebounds in that one. So good win for them going forward. That kind of sums it up there for Monday night on the boys. Anything on Monday night to stick out to you before we jump into Tuesday?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, nothing that we ain't really talked about already.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, last night, Abingdon, like I mentioned before, they beat John Battle in that game. Luke Honaker had a pretty good game. Ended up getting 17 points in that one. And then I thought I had the score for it. Yeah, 63-61. So it was a close game. Grundy, again, we just had talked about them when they played Council last night. It wasn't so close. They're still feeling pretty good, I think, after that Belfry game. Grundy beat Council 89-32. Jonah Looney went for 20 and 10. And then I think that was senior night for them as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was a good moment for him to have a good game, and for his dad there to be watching him as well.
Grundy's another team that it seems like any night you have a high score, they've spread it around and capable of different ones leading them in scoring. So that's what you need going into tournament time and moving forward. Is you get up against the region tournament, especially you're relying on one person. You're much more one dimensional. But if you got guys that can spread around and you're tough to guard, you can. Those teams usually are the ones that can go further.
Yeah, and on that same note, 10 different players scored for Grundy there the other night. So yeah, they're. I mean, you see it in Honaker girls a little bit too. Those are the teams I think when it comes to tournament time, they're going to be the most dangerous.
Yeah.
So you had Eastside play Twin Springs there last night. It was 37-35. A very close game. Eastside clinched the Cumberland District with that one. For them, Gabe Raymond had 10 points. 5 rebounds. He also had 4 block shots. And for Twin Springs, Connor Hughes had 19 points. But Eastside they're 9-10. They started the season out 8 straight losses, but they're 8-0 now in the district. So
yeah, the Cumberland district this year in boys is it's down compared to normal, which is not really a bad thing because that district's been loaded for a while. But one of the more down years I would say, kind of like the BDD this year with for the Cumberland. It's not the top to bottom, as good as it usually is. But Eastside, that's just a team that no matter what they put out offensively, they're going to play. They're going to play defense and play hard. So, they not your typical, like I said, not your typical Cumberland District teams with the. And like I said, especially as of late, because that's probably why it seems to be down more than normal, is because how many good teams you've had the past however many years. But they're a solid. That is kind of wild, that record, but clinch your district. So congratulations to them on a Cumberland District Championship.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about being down in basketball. Or girls, though, it's definitely I think might be the premier district around here.
It's up there with. I'd say top to bottom, it's probably the best at single A for sure.
Yeah.
The Hogo. They got some really good teams. Obviously, I think top to bottom, the Cumberland District for girls is probably the best one.
Yeah, I think that I think the Hogo has a lot of youth. I was reading an article. I don't know if you saw it. They had a write up on Honecker Varsity Girls, and which we'll get into it here in a second. But they had talked about kind of weathering the storm, trying not to be complacent, playing a lot of teams in the Hogo that were still young and inexperienced. And you see the margins and stuff. And like I said, we'll get into the numbers here in a minute. But I think the Cumberland, it seems like you have. I can think of you got Burton and Eastside and Ryco off the top of your head, right?
Yeah, and even Twin Springs, played Eastside tough.
Yeah.
They're not. There's, in Burton, Ryco beat Burton earlier in the year. Obviously,
I think they avenged that loss last night.
Yeah, they took care of that last night. But and obviously the first one was before Hammond's transfer, but still, Burton was still a good team before that. So for Ryco to beat them, that's there's no. It doesn't seem like there's easy. And Thomas Walker's not. I don't know what their record is, but I know they got the one girl that's a post player that's pretty good. So that's not an easy win. So I think top to bottom, that's the best conference.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, best district.
Continuing on last night's game for the boys, this is a big one. I don't know if you saw this, but Castlewood beat Thomas Walker 75-60. Caden Ditchman had 45 points in that game.
Yeah, we gotta get him on too. He's a walking bucket. Well, apparently he's a walking bucket. We need to really. I want to go watch him play. I know they've kind of struggled this year in the win and loss column, but he's been pretty consistently putting up some good numbers. So we got to try to get out there and watch him before the season's over with.
Yeah, and he's still last year I think he finished the year beating the leading scorer in Southwest. Well, the paper reads far Southwest Virginia, but the leading scorer around here, and so I think this year he's doing the same thing. Thomas Walker, though, in the loss, they had 4 players in double digits, so they're pretty spread around. A score that was mentioned in the paper, I know it's not as close down our way, but it is one of the best teams in Southwest Virginia, and that's George Wythe. They beat Grayson County 70-18. I thought that was pretty impressive.
That's yeah.
So they.
Before I forget about it, while we're talking about players or teams that aren't necessarily on our local little kind of our area, I can't remember his name now, but Collier or whatever his name is from Narrows.
I think that might be it.
Something like that, but He broke, I think, Narrows' all-time scoring record this week. He's having a really good year down there, so that'd be a keep an eye on coming down to Region C and see what if they can do anything with the. That's a tough region with the Galax and George Wythe and Grayson County. Well, I'm not sure. No, who's the other one out there? There's another one that's Auburn. I think is the other.
Yeah,
really
and
good.
Auburn beat. They beat George Wythe.
Yeah, so that's a really good region basketball wise.
I would love to. I don't know. There's a lot of local podcasts around here we've seen. Some great ones that cover high school sports. I would love if we had one that was maybe closer to that area and come deep in the tournament. If we got somebody from out here and they got somebody from out there, it'd be cool to have one of them on as a guest, kind of collab with them.
Yeah.
Some other scores real quick to finish up the boys. Marion beat Tazewell. Marion, Cade Burchett, hope I'm saying that right, had 20 points in that game. And then Jack Ford and Reed Osborne. Ford had 16 points and Osborne had 14 points as well for Marion. And then TJ Jarrett for Tazewell had 26 points in that game. Northwood and Holston. We haven't really talked much about Northwood this year. They're also over in the Hogaheagie. But they barely squeaked by Holston in a close game. Drake Maiden had 23 points in that one. I wish, I don't know how the basketball gym is. I think I've been over there maybe a time or two, but I love their football field. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if it's just where it's just kind of like Lebanon in a way. It's almost like down in I don't want to say a hole, but like a valley. So, during football season, when I was over there, it's extremely energetic, great atmosphere. So I was catching on the basketball games. So we only got here just a few more games. Chilhowie beat Rural Retreat 61-44. James Nash, who we mentioned earlier, had a good game. He had 16 points and 4 assists. Virginia High and Richlands. Virginia High is probably another one, maybe the better teams in this area. They beat them 77-67. And
that game.
Go ahead.
Sorry, that game close, a lot closer than what I expected it to be. I don't know. I'm not sure if Richlands just played really good that game or Virginia High had an off night, but that, based on other scores and other games we've seen, that was kind of surprised about how close that game was.
Yeah, because it wasn't just a few weeks ago, wasn't it, that Lebanon had, I think, beat Richlands by almost 50 points?
Yeah, like 101 to something. And Virginia High has been, beat Lebanon, beat Graham, beat. They were, I don't know if they played Gate City or not, but they were kind of, or are still, the favorite. I would think in 2A in the boys. So that score was, kind of surprising.
Yeah, no, I agree. I hope I'm saying his name right, but Taryn Woolen, I guess, scored 22 points in that game. And then Deontay Monzel, who I've seen pop up quite a bit in local news, he had 20 points in that one. Gate City played Lee High last night. Gunnar Garrett had 24 in that game. I'll say Gate City beat Lee High 82-45. Gunnar Garrett had 24. Eli McMurray had 22. You mentioned it earlier. They have several guys that can score, and I think McMurray's another one that they got that he's been putting up some good numbers. So we also have. You're gonna say something? I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go
ahead. Union and Ridgeview. I don't think we've talked a whole lot about either one of these teams.
No, Union coming into the season, I think they're a young team. From everything I remember reading, but yeah, they kind of just. I'm not really, seen a whole lot of the. I think it's kind of a rebuilding year, for them. I'm pretty sure, and Ridgeview maybe the same. They've not had a great year from their what they wanted, with their standards, I guess. But not sure if there's young teams or if it's just a more of a rebuilding year. But I think it's been kind of a rougher season for both those teams.
Yeah.
Compared to their normal standards, I want to say. I'm not,
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Which we mentioned, I think Ron, he broke the rebound school record there, I think last week. I know we mentioned him then. Union came away with this one 65-40. Rashawn Anderson, he led the way. He had 19 points for them. Cam Bostic and Paul Huff also had good games for Union. So that was a pretty good win for them.
I say that, and Union might have a good record. Maybe it's just the games I've noticed that they've, seems like maybe it's just those district games that I've paid attention to. So I may be speaking completely off base when I say that. They may have, I'm not sure what the record even is, but so I just want to say, no, not trying to put anybody down or nothing. I just, I think they've had a very, very good run there of having some good teams. So I think, like I said, by their standard, I think they're probably maybe down a little bit this year in rebuilding.
And this next game we have, we had already talked about. We talked to Cole and Landon about it. It was Hurley and Twin Valley. Hurley came away with this one, avenging their previous loss. It was 66-34. Landon Bailey had 22 points in that game. And then for Twin Valley, you had Blake Cooper, who Cole mentions dead-eye shooter. He had 13 points in that one. They played also last night. Rycove had 70. J.R. Burton 63. So Rycove came away with that one. Landon Lane, who's one of their favorite football players from the area, he had 15 points in that game, had 4 assists. So that kind of concludes the boys for Monday and Tuesday. Anything worth mentioning before going forward to the girls?
I mean, no, I can just kind of throw out, kind of try to hit on a little bit of it every time we go over scores. We've not done a week to week like we just ain't had the opportunities, but throwing out like maybe top 3 or 4 favorites that if I had to pick, like kind of like we ranked in football season. I've not really been able to follow like we did during football because it's just so many more games. So these are in not really any kind of real order. It's kind of just, I mean, some of them might be in the order of what I'm kind of thinking, but there's not like you can interchange a few of these pretty easily, I feel like, but maybe looking forward to what the region's going to look like. Maybe in my guess and my prediction, 2A boys, I think Virginia High, Gate City, and Graham. And I don't know who to throw in after that. I know, like I've seen John battle in some tough games. Lebanon could get hot, and give people some problems. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out that I shouldn't be, but off of memory, those are especially the Virginia High, Gate City, and Graham. I think those 3 are probably the in the 2A. And then 1A, I got Honaker at 1. I've not seen anybody in 1A yet that I would put above them, especially when they're playing and they're actually on even Coach Hart said they didn't play great against Central, but when they're firing all cylinders, I think they're probably the team to beat in 1A. I'll throw Grundy in there as the second. I'm not, if they're they're like I said, they're well balanced and well coached. I guess somebody out of the Hogo better be Chill Halley or Patrick Henry. I've not seen those play, but I mean Patrick Henry's been in some good games in that district and was only 1 game back at one time. They're not a few games ago. I'm not sure where the standings are now, and I think Chill Halley, if they're a good 3-point shooting team, maybe from what I remember reading, if they get hot. And then I guess Eastside's going to be in there from that 1 seed out of that other district, so you can throw them in. But that's kind of the outlook I think going forward in the next couple of weeks. What you're going to see in the region, so it should be some good matchups.
Yeah, and I knew there's a pretty interesting matchup from Graham Middle School tonight, and so I was kind of looking at Tim Hayes' page real quick before we got off the boys, just to bring it up. But while I was looking for it, I happened to notice that Ryan O'Quinn hit a half-court buzzer tonight to win the game against John Battle. He's got the video up over there, so you got to check that out. I shared it on our socials.
What was the Graham game you was talking about?
So the Graham played Oak Hill's red team tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That game was Oak Hill 76, Graham 40. But Oak Hill, I mean, their reputation is pretty well known.
The red team, though, right?
I thought it was, is the red team the good one, or is it the gold team?
The gold team's the good one.
Is it? Well, I mean, I say good, but, in terms of relative to, what I mean?
It kind of depends from year to year on how good the red team is. They can be pretty good, or they can be kind of, it just depends on what they got. But, yeah, the red is their B team, is what you kind of call it.
Well, we'll hop on the girls right now, and I think I've said this before, but maybe I don't want to say we're biased or anything like that. We have had an opportunity to have on some coaches, and Clay there last week, or a little before last. But I think that some of your best basketball is probably in varsity girls in this area, at least spread out. Maybe boys is more top heavy, but from top to bottom, just with all the districts, I think that you have a lot of good teams,
especially this year. I think I think girls this year is, especially like you said, from more good teams based on just than not just top heavy in districts, but I think the girls is the more competitive this year. I feel like than boys, but yeah.
We'll jump into it real quick and go over these last little bit, then we'll close it out for the night.
Except for 2A.
Yeah.
2A, I think the boys might be more competitive.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think so. But go ahead.
So Monday night you had Dobbins Bennett beat Wise County Central, 53-45. Madison Looney had 18 in that one, 12 rebounds, and Emma McCamus had 18 points. But that's a pretty good team. Dobbins Bennett, they beat Dobbins Bennett earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's I think Dobbins Bennett, are they 3A in Tennessee or 4 maybe? I can't.
Maybe, I'm not sure how, and I don't know how in Tennessee the equivalent from over there to Virginia. I don't know, but definitely impressive.
Yeah.
I know this one they lost, but they had beat them before, so
yeah.
Roller Treat beat Patrick Henry 64-30. Hopefully I don't butcher this name, but Annabelle Fiscus had 1,000 points in that game. So congratulations to her.
That's a lot of points for one game.
Oh, 1,000 points. She hit her 1,000 points on Friday. That would be a heck of some news. That'd be national news. So yeah, she won that one. 10 different players scored there for Rural Retreat in that game. Then you had Abingdon beat Gate City 55-43. AJ Trivet, Anzo Trivet, she had 28 points and 14 rebounds in that game. She's one of the better players in this area. We brought her up quite a bit. We might have to try to get her on her next few weeks, maybe, if we get a chance. I know we've got a lot of people already signed up. She's definitely one of the better players in Southwest Virginia.
Yeah.
And also, Abby O'Quinn, she scored 9 points for him and hit 3 3-pointers. And for Gate City, Jaden Carrico had 22 points in that game. Chilhowie beat Holston 51-22. I should think, let's see. I get the stats for that one, but we'll just leave it at that. Chilhowie beat Holston 51-22. Lehigh beat Thomas Walker 63-44. Freshman Kenley Huff had 27 points and 8 rebounds in that game for Lehigh. And then I guess it's for Lehigh, Cassidy Hammonds had 13 points and 6 rebounds. So now this one right here was very impressive. And I know we maybe were a little biased because she's on the show 2 weeks ago, and We were very impressed by her character, and Mark helps out their coach and stuff too. But
You talk
this is a
about
very impressive stat line. You know who I'm
yeah,
talking about.
yeah. I seen this stat line today. It's she
Yep.
fills them up.
Yep. They Eastside beat Castlewood 57-28. Taylor Clay had 23 points, 12 steals, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Wow.
Yeah, she's
I
she does
mean,
a little bit of everything.
yeah.
Well,
It,
actually, not a little bit of everything. She does quite a bit of most of it, and then
yeah.
throws just complete
And we
stat and
were
filled it.
Yeah, we were asking her. Well, you asked her on the podcast there if she had a triple double before, and she didn't think she had. That's a good chance she could get a what would be a quadruple double. I mean, if she's
Yeah,
getting 10
I
plus
mean,
steals a game.
yeah, that 5 will have to come up, but yeah, I mean, very good possibility.
Yeah, I mean that's insane. Super impressive. Um, Belfry, Kentucky. Their Monday night they beat Grundy, the girls, and they had lost to Grundy earlier in the year, but they ended up beating Grundy 61-50. But for Grundy, Kate Bostic had 18 points, and Jade Vinsel had 17 points in that one. And that was all from Monday night with the girls. Anything stick out to you there, or anything you want to mention?
No, just you know, um, Grundy's that's kind of opposite of the boys. The fact they went to Kentucky and beat Belfry, but wouldn't expect to lose to them at home. But that's just goes to show you never know from night to night.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you talked quite a bit, I think, on an episode or two, for sure, on the episode of Jory about the environment over in Kentucky. So to go in there and come out with a win against a school, too, at Belfry, who's a pretty popular school in that area. A lot of
Mm,
championship teams, I know, in football for sure.
yeah,
So that's impressive.
for sure.
Um, we'll hop on to last night there in girls basketball. Grundy played Council. Uh, Michaela Eastep had 12 points in that game, and Sophia Belcher had 20 rebounds. And they beat Council 44-31. Lonnie Webb there got another win. And I think that with that one, they clinched the BDD regular season title. So congratulations to them.
Congratulations. Yep.
And in that game, and hoping here soon, I think we talked about maybe getting her on here soon, but Ella Rasnick had 14 points in that game. She hit a heck of a shot. I think her mom shared on X there the other day. Did you see that? Uh,
Mm.
at the buzzer. Yeah, I think she tagged us in that one. Just pretty much, as she said, the ice in her veins. Time
Yeah.
was running out. She came off I think a little screen and shot a 3-pointer and drained it. So she's
Yeah.
definitely
We
one
did
to watch.
try to her. Obviously, I'd love to talk to Neil about it. They're slowly flying under the radar there as a um I'm not saying that they're region compete for region by no means yet, but they're getting better and better, and they're win them out based on previous years. They're kind of Neil's getting them. You can tell a big difference. They're coming along. Um, I don't know what kind of if they have seniors or what they're what they're losing, but that could be a real good team next year if they got everybody back.
Yeah, for sure. And they'll have her back.
Yeah.
So she's only 15 years old. So um, that's gonna be a fun team to watch. Virginia High beat Richlands 38-27. Um, Mary Catherine Wilson scored 14 points for Virginia High, leading the way there. A game that we had mentioned earlier, a big game, was J.I. Burton avenging that loss to Rye Cove. They won 61-43. Azzy Hammonds had 17 in that game. Sarah Williams had 16, and Taylor Phillips had 15. So they had a lot of good spread out scoring there for that one.
Yeah, they're going. Burton will be very tough to defend, especially once they get more games under their belt with playing together. They'll be a very tough team, and especially like I said, especially stopping all of them with both the Hammonds and the other, I can't remember the other girl's name, but
Williams.
Yep. Williams, yeah, both of them very, very good scorers, and obviously, got some good pieces around them. They'll be a tough team to stop. Like I said, that'll be a fun atmosphere. I think they play next week. Them on the east side for the will be playing, but going into that district tournament again, and then there's a possibility they could somehow find themselves playing each other in the region. It just depends on how the matchups or what district is, because they swap it every year, the 1 seed and 2 seed, 3 seed, and all that. So, but yeah, that'll be an interesting district to follow.
Yeah, we need to. Because they're going to be playing at Eastside, and need to find out what day it is.
Hang on, I'll tell you.
Mine go there.
When we posted that about the schedules, the only one I got was a fan from Eastside sent us a schedule. So,
we got two, didn't we? We had one in the comments and one in a message, I think.
Oh, I didn't check the message thing.
Yeah, I think we got another one too.
They play Burton. Their senior night is on February the 2nd, which is a Friday, I think, maybe.
Let's see, February 2nd is that this Friday.
Yeah, so they play this, not this Friday, but they play next Friday. No, that's all right. That's this Friday.
No, February. Yeah,
so Friday. They play in a couple of days. Yeah, so.
Yeah, it sucks. I work.
I don't know what I'll be doing. I might. When did Cole say they played? That this Friday? Play council.
I think that was next Friday.
Okay,
we're gonna have to get these schedules, man.
Yeah, so I gotta figure that out. I might be going over there to East Side. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a heck of a game. Nevertheless, in that game, what I thought was impressive, because we always talk about some of the top scorers from Burton, but they actually held Kaylee Lamb in that one to 6 points, and we've talked pretty highly of Kaylee on this podcast. She's one of the better scorers, I think, in our area and in the Cumberland district out there. So to hold her just at 6 points is pretty impressive. It kind of showed what Burton had defensively in that game.
Yeah.
Abingdon, they beat John Battle 62-23. Then just continue on. Ridgeview beat Union 67-35. Rural Retreat beat Chilhowie 54-19. Annabelle, that we mentioned earlier, that got her 1,000. She had 18 points in that one against Chilhowie. And no player on Chilhowie scored more than 6 points in the game. So that one was a little bit lopsided there. Holston beat Northwood 48-14. Sophomore Allie Parks had 17 points in that game for Holston. Thomas Walker beat Castlewood 53-37. Sarah McPherson had 22 points for Thomas Walker. Then you had Twin Valley. I thought this was a pretty good win for them. They beat Hurley 41-39 in a close one. Hurley's Jada Hilton ended up leading all scorers with 16, but Kiara Gross ended up getting 14 points for Twin Valley, and they ended up pulling away with a close one there. So Gate City, I thought I read her name earlier, and for whatever reason in the back of my head, I was like, the Carico girl. I knew something big had happened with her. And last night's game against Lehigh, they won 61-47. She had 35 points in that game. So I thought that was worth mentioning.
Very impressive.
Yeah. I mean, she was not too far off from being on pace with Lehigh's total score by herself.
Yeah.
Eastside, Twin Springs. Eastside, they beat Twin Springs 60-46. Taylor Clay in that one has 17 points and 11 assists, 4 steals. So again, filling up the stat sheet.
The walking double at least.
Oh yeah, you might not know if it's going to be in steals or what it's going to be in, but I don't know if you had we talked about it with Aiden Lowe in football season, but if you had some local high school fantasy football or fantasy basketball, she'd be one that would
Yeah.
get you all kinds of points.
Mm-hmm.
Senior Lexi Carter, she also had 14 points and 6 blocks and 8 rebounds in that game. And Kaylee Rasnick, she had 15 points and 3 steals. They're, if I'm not mistaken, they're getting closer to clinching that Cumberland District title they mentioned in the paper. So I don't know if that would be. I think you mentioned it being Friday.
Well, that game necessarily won't clinch it for them. They could still lose to Burton, and as long as they beat, I think Castlewood would be their only remaining district game. As long as they beat Castlewood, because where Rye Cove beat Burton, they'd have that gives Burton 2 losses. So as long as so as long as they, I think that's who they had left was Burton Friday and then Castlewood next week. So they could still lose. They could lose Friday and then beat Castlewood and still clinch the district, but they won't clinch until the last next Friday. I think that's how. I think it's right.
No, I'd say you're right. But we just have one more game that I want to talk about, and that's it. And we'll, I guess, if you have anything else after that, but we'll close it off. But we talked about them earlier. Honaker Varsity Girls, they are absolutely dominating right now. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say with it's I don't want to talk about Honaker too much just because of all the crap we catch from our buddies, but it's hard not to talk about, especially this girls team. Like they are dominating everybody right now. It's one of the best stretches of not just wins, but just completely dominating that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it's I mean, last night's game they played Patrick Henry. They beat them 70-13. I mean, after the first quarter is 28-2.
Yeah, the last few games I've watched, or one I went to and watched, and another one after that.
Yeah,
that on a seen the score of it in last night's. Teams are barely scoring double digits for the most part. They're on a roll right now. I think that's the reason. I obviously don't know this. I've never spoken to her, but if I had to guess, I would say that's one reason that Coach Davis, Mr. Miller, Coach or whatever. I can't remember the last name. Is it Miller or Davis?
Miller.
Miller Davis, right?
Miller.
Yeah. Or Davis Miller, whatever it is. I think that's probably the reason that she's scheduled such a hard schedule out of her district. They've played some really good teams. They played in that Doc Holiday thing or whatever it was, whatever it was. Doc Martin, is that what it was? Doc Holiday. They played.
What's funny is wait a minute. What's funny about that is because I kept calling it Doc Holiday, and eventually you just like, hey, I want to let you know that it's not Doc Holiday. And it's funny now that you're calling it that.
Yeah, the Doc Martin or whatever. Yeah. That with a lot of really good teams in it, and they play some tough opponents, and then they schedule Carroll County twice, or home and away with Carroll County. So, I think she knew she wanted to get some really tough opponents on that schedule, and now they're kind of just in their district, and those teams they're not on that same level as they are. But yeah, maybe you want to be playing your best come tournament time. So hopefully they're not like playing these kind of cruise control games. Hopefully it doesn't hurt them going into the region and have when competition steps up. But I think they're they play enough defense that even if they don't have a good shooting night, they can score in other ways. Dribble drive and post play, and they play enough defense they're going to turn you over. So I think obviously they have a good chance of winning the region, but it'll be some good matchups there
for sure. Before we go, I'm going to continue on this, but it's actually Doc Maples.
Doc Maples. What'd I say?
Yeah. Well, you said Holiday, but then you said Martin.
Martin, so it's Maples.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can edit that. We can edit all that out.
Oh, we're gonna leave that.
I'll go ahead and if you want me to, it's called Did the Boys. I'll throw in some kind of just list of teams. My prediction for the region, but like 1A girls, obviously Honaker and I think Eastside and Burton are kind of neck and neck. I think I don't really know who to give the lean towards there. I know Eastside won their last matchup, but Burton could very easily knock them off. I think it's kind of a whoever plays better that night type of situation. And then honestly, I don't know who to put in there as my 14 men. I don't maybe a Hogle Higgy team that I don't know anything about, or maybe you can throw a Grundy in there. I don't know that Grundy is on that level of maybe with some of them other teams, but maybe even a Ryco.
You have Honaker, Eastside and Burton.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Rye Cove maybe. Rye Cove or Grundy.
Yeah, maybe even a Rye Cove makes it past some of the in there. So I don't know. It's wide open on that fourth spot to me, but honestly, in 2A, I've not followed as much. Honestly, I don't think it really matters who 2, 3, and 4 are. I think Central is, we talk about how good Honaker. I think Central is just a well machine. You have Hall of Fame coach with very talented players around him. With McCamus, just unbelievable player that is getting all. I mean, she's just I don't know what she's got offered, but a junior that's going to probably get her 2,000 pretty early next year, or if not, I done the math. That's probably not going to happen this year, but I have to figure out how many points per game it would be. But it's probably not out of the realm of possibility. But definitely next year, and is going to. I'm very curious, very interested to follow her next year and see where she ends up signing and going to play college at. But then you got the Looney that transferred from Grundy that's playing really, really well right now, and doesn't get enough credit. Well, maybe she does out there, but we've not talked about her enough about how well she's been playing. So I just think 2A girls, it really doesn't matter who 2, 3, and 4 is. I think Central's, pretty well head and shoulders above everybody else from what I've seen. I may be completely off on this. Maybe I've not paid enough attention, but I don't think anybody gives them much of a game in 2A.
I agree with you in the 2A and on the single A. Just to wrap up the Honaker part, I know that you had mentioned, some of our friends bugging us about being a Honaker heavy podcast, but success deserves to be recognized, and I think that what they're doing deserves to be appreciated while we got it here. I mean, You have a team like that around us, you have to appreciate it, and I just want to throw out there that I second you with them being the top single A team. They're not just. I think you look at some of these other teams and they obviously have 1 or 2 star. I mean, Eastside's pretty spread out, but some of these other teams you definitely have some girls that stick out on their teams. But for Honaker, it's so spread out. I think that's what makes them so dangerous. There last night, Taylor Nolly, who we had talked about before, she had 21 points. McNulty had 15. Well, Miller and Jesse both had double digits as well. Yeah. So, I mean, it's so spread out. And just something I wanted to throw out there to Honaker's dominance. You had already mentioned they lost 3 games this year. That was to Carroll County twice, who is the defending 3A state champions. And they only lost to them by 3 and 4 points. Then they lost to Tennessee High, which was in the Doc Maples Classic. Then not only that, this is some crazy stuff they put in this article. Honaker has allowed no more than 35 points in 5 league games this season. They, including 12 and 13 over the last 2, and 9 in its last non-district game is what they've allowed points, which is crazy to think about. They have hit the 70-point mark 3 times in that span of their league play. So, I mean, it's utter dominance when it comes to at least the league play. I know that's not I know the Hoga Higgy is young this year in Varsity Girls, and a little bit inexperienced. There's a lot of talent there, but they're not there yet. But that kind of dominance deserves to be recognized, and it deserves to be appreciated while we got it here. They do a great job out there, and I'm excited to see when it gets to regions and seeing some of these teams play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Well, man, that kind of sums up everything high school wise. Is there anything that you got before we jump off here? I know we kind of went a lot longer than what I think we intended on, but
I just want to I'll throw a throwback out. It's a lot easier for me to do one throwback song than it is for you to do 5. So since we're just got this real quick, but this was released in February of '92, so it's 30 years old this year. It was the 3rd consecutive #1 off their debut album, Brand New Man. Can you guess what song this is?
Brooks and Dunn, right?
Yeah.
Brand New Man. And this is what, another third consecutive? What?
This was their 3rd consecutive #1 off of that debut album of theirs. In 1992 is when it released.
Was it Neon Moon?
Neon Moon. There you go.
Heck yeah. Can you sing a few bars for us? Because I love that song.
I can. I'm not going to.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I didn't, I've been kind of lacking on the top 5s, but I did want to throw out a song that I like for if y'all want to check it out. It is somewhat new. It came out on the 12th. This artist isn't all that big yet, so I guess you could say kind of underground country star. I don't know, or just somebody starting out. But it's Curtis Hagen. Curtis spelled with a K. The song is called Songs About You, and it references a lot of famous country songs in that, but it's also a song like some others country songs, kind of like kind of like I Miss You song. I mean, heartbreak type jam, but the song is great. I sent it to Rusty earlier. I've listened to it on repeat. It's not really relatable to me, but just the sound of it, the lyrics, I love it. So I just want to throw that out there as a song, kind of for people to look at. Yeah. Before we hop off here, I do want to go ahead.
I was gonna say we're probably not going to be on again until next week with what are we going to do this weekend? What's the plan?
Well, I mean, this weekend is I'm at work, but
working, yeah.
I mean, we probably do one there maybe Sunday night, but I mean, we'll talk about it and see.
I was just going to say,
I know the Super Bowl's next week.
Yeah, just in case we're not doing this weekend, I'll go ahead and shout out. I've done said it once, but happy birthday to one of the boys that come on the porch, Logan Cantrell. Happy birthday. Hopefully we'll be playing golf with him Saturday morning for his birthday, so we're looking forward to that, but just wanted to give him a shout out. And but yeah, till next week, I guess, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to say before we got off here.
Yeah, my bad.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support we've had from our close friends, my wife, Rusty's wife, Logan's wife, some of my family, my in-laws. They've done a real good job today, and I guess since we've had it, but especially today, really putting it out there, inviting everybody they know, and we're getting close to 1,000 followers right now on Facebook. We've gained, I think, almost 150 in the last 3 hours. So thank you to you guys, and thank you for all the people that's been listening so far. We've got a lot of kind messages. People that we don't know personally that comment, that share our stuff. I think that's awesome. I think it's kind of surprising. I think when we started this, I don't know that we ever thought that it would ever get this far. But mainly, we do it for the kids and getting us. I think that's really kind of gave us a higher purpose in doing it once we had some of these players on and getting them some recognition. But I did want to say, and we've already got quite a bit. I've got more than I thought we would probably, but we've had a few players send us some highlights. So just everybody all the athletes that listen to this, continue to send us some highlights and stuff. We're going to build it into an intro video. And that's all I wanted to say before we got out here.
Yeah. I know I keep saying it, but we got some really good guests lined up, and it's a good problem to have, having all of them. But we can't, we're having a hard time fitting a lot of it in. But we're definitely putting the player interviews first throughout the week. If we're going to do one or the other, we'll get the players on, especially during the season like this. So, but we got a lot of special guest interviews that we got lined up, and a lot of them probably think I've asked and just forgot about them, but it's been so long. But like I said, it's a good problem to have, and we definitely appreciate everybody checking it out. Hope y'all like it. Keep listening.
All right, man.
Go Heels, beat Duke.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you again. God bless.